Hello, everyone. We'll start in a few minutes. We are waiting for people to join in.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. First off, thank you all so much for taking out the time to join us today. So, we are truly grateful for the opportunity to connect with such bright, ambitious aspirants, the architects of tomorrow. So, we know you might be feeling anxious and wondering if you have prepared enough, but rest assured, we were in the same position as you last year. Hence, we are here to provide you with the final insights and strategies you need to approach the exam with confidence. So, today we will be delving into the topic the last lap, quick fixes, and smart hacks to ace snap. So please feel free to type your queries in the chat box as we move along, and we will be addressing as many as possible during the Q&A towards the end. So without any further ado, let's get started. So joining me today are my wonderful co-hosts Astha Giri and RD Karthik. So I would like to start with my introduction first. So my name is Abhiruchi Bora and I did my BTech in Electronics and Telecommunication Engineering from Assam Engineering College. Presently, I'm a student of SIDTM and my specialization is marketing and finance. I have a work ex of 15 months. So 10 months I worked as an assistant manager in Vedanta Aluminium Limited and 5 months as a digital marketing executive in Littlebox, India. So after gaining the industry experience, I realized that I wanted to deepen my expertise at the intersection of technology and management. Hence, SIDTM, it stood out as the perfect place to build those specialized skills and accelerate my career. So that was all about me. So over to you now, Adi.
Thanks a lot, Abhiruchi, and welcome all. A very warm evening to this webinar. My name is R.D. Karthik, and I am from Bangalore. I completed my Bachelor of Engineering in Electronics and Communication Engineering from Bangalore Institute of Technology. Post which I did work as a software developer at India Infoline Finance Limited in the digital lending product development team. After round about 1 year into the corporate world, I did pivot into the world of content creation and established Foodie Brahmana, a brand with over 1 lakh followers on social media platforms, showing my entrepreneurial drive and digital growth capabilities. I got interested in SIDTM because it provides me a blend of management, that is the business management, with the digital technology. Currently, I am a first year student here at SIDTM from marketing and finance specialization, where I believe that I can leverage right skills for a career in the digital business space. So that's a quick intro about me. Over to you, Asta.
Okay, so hi everybody and welcome to this webinar. My name is Astha Giri and I am from Bangalore. I completed my BCom from Bangalore University itself and I am a fresher, but I did an internship with Domino's India where I got a closer look at how business operations, customer experience, and technology come together. So that experience made me want to build stronger skills in these areas. And because of that, SIDTM stood out to me because it connects management with digital and telecom space. It gave me the chance to explore both marketing and finance while understanding how technology drives modern business. So it felt like the right place for me to learn, grow, and shape my career. So before we move ahead, I want to show you how you can stay connected with us beyond this webinar. So on the screen now, you will see QR codes for our Telegram channel and our YouTube channel. Please follow for regular updates and announcements. Also, if you have any questions or any doubts about the process or any GPI related queries, you can feel free to reach out to us, and our admission team email is given below, and you can write to us anytime for any help or clarifications needed.
So moving on to the next slide, before we begin the webinar and the session, we have a quick announcement for you all. The Branding and Admissions Committee of SIDTM will be traveling to 7 cities, that is across India, namely Mumbai, Bangalore, Pune, Hyderabad, Kolkata, Jaipur, and Delhi, as a part of our Sim Connect, that is our Aspiration Meet and Greet initiative. It's a great initiative and an opportunity for you all to meet us in person, interact with us, interact with the alum, and get your queries answered and receive the guidance for the GEPA process. You will see a QR code which is flashed on the screen right now. So feel free to scan and register to be part of the event of the Sim Connect at your city. Now I would like Abhiruchi to continue with the next slide.
Okay, so moving ahead to the next slide. So let me quickly tell you about SNAP. So SNAP is Symbiosis National Level MBA exam. And what makes it stand out is how fast and efficient it is. So unlike the other examinations that feel like never ending, SNAP is just 1 hour. It is mainly focused on the speed, logic, and the smart thinking. So you also get 3 attempts here, and also the best score counts. So now let's understand exactly how the SNAP is structured. So as you can see in the slide here, the SNAP exam, it is divided into 3 main sections. First is the general English, second is the analytical and logical reasoning, and the third is the quantitative data interpretation and data sufficiency. So out of the total 60 multiple choice questions, the 15 questions, as you can see, are from the general English section, 25 questions are from analytical and logical reasoning, and 20 questions from the quants section. So each correct answer, it gives you +1 mark, while each incorrect answer results in a deduction of 0.25 marks. And unanswered questions, they do not attract any negative marking. Now, moving on to the next slide. So this is how you should actually prepare in the general English. So the total questions in these sections will be 15. A good number of attempts will be 12 to 13. And the time that will be required is around 8 to 10 minutes. So the next slide we have the level of difficulty. So the level of difficulty here is quite easy to moderate, which means with the right amount of preparation, this section can become your strongest area. So the first major category here includes the synonyms, antonyms, analogies, and the compound words. And these usually make up around 4 to 5 questions. So next we have the poems and the parajumbles and jumbled paragraphs. And you can expect like 2 to 3 questions from these sections. So this will test your understanding of the logical flow and the coherence. The parajumbles, they especially require attention to the connectors, pronouns, and the tones. So here a quick tip will be to spot the opening sentence first and then links the ideas by continuity. And moving on is the fill in the blanks, sentence corrections, and the sentence completion. And this together, they come around 4 to 5 questions. So this is where paying attention to the minute grammar details, it becomes very important. So topics like the subject-verb agreement, prepositions, articles, and commonly confused words, they show up very frequently. So this is why revising the basic grammar rules is essential. And finally is the lighter category. Those are like the one-word substitution, odd one out, tenses, modal verbs, and these usually make up to 1 to 2 questions. These are very straightforward if you are consistent with the practice.
Okay, so moving on to the most, I think the section which students find very moderate to difficult would be the analytical and the logical reasoning. This is really the section that actually tests how clearly you think and how quickly you can break down a problem. So your preparation in this section particularly should be very strategic. So the first big area in critical reasoning. So it has things like cause and effect, statement conclusion, assumptions and arguments. So you can expect around 4 to 5 questions from here. And honestly, this segment is crucial because the wording can be very tricky. The key is to understand the core logic behind the statement instead of going by your own assumptions or real life knowledge. Then we have topics like clocks and calendars, coding, decoding, and input output, which usually makes up to 6 to 7 questions. These are very high scoring once you know the patterns, but they can eat up time if the logic doesn't click you instantly. So, for example, if you spot a long input output set, it is better to skip it initially and circle back to it later. Next comes the blood relations, family trees, and arrangements. So they roughly make up to 7 to 8 questions in total, and they are usually very scoring once you have practiced them enough. Arrangement sets particularly require clean diagramming, so the more you practice them, the faster and more confident you will become. And finally, you will see around 4 to 5 questions from syllogisms, series, analogies, and odd one out. These are usually very quick and standalone questions. It is great for picking up easy marks if you are comfortable with patterns and basic logic. To summarize the strategy for this section particularly, it's to prioritize critical reasoning because it heavily impacts your accuracy. Second would be to know which topics are quick wins and which ones can trap you in long solutions. And the third would be to keep practicing the complete LR sets, especially the puzzles and arrangements part, because familiarity is the biggest factor here in reducing time. Overall, this section really rewards consistency, composure, and a cool head under pressure.
So now let's move on to the next slide. So this slide talks about the quant, which is the final section of the SNAP exam and being one of my favorite section. So quant generally has the quantitative aptitude along with the DI and the DS, that is data interpretation and data sufficiency. So this section you can expect somewhere around 20 questions, out of which if 14 to 15 of them you get it right, you will definitely fall in that sweet spot, so getting a good and decent snap percentile as well as score. So I would say roughly 80% of accuracy maintaining in this section would get you that desired score. Coming to the usual mix of the topics, you generally see arithmetic, algebra, geometry, percentages, ratios, simple equations, number systems, and such. And moving on to the DI part, you generally see questions coming in the tabular form or the tables, as well as the bar graphs and line charts. The trick here is to solve these questions in a structured approach, that is step-by-step manner. And data sufficiency, on the other hand, is purely concept driven. So if your basics and foundations are clear, I think so getting these questions right would be a very easy one. I generally followed 4 strategies coming to quant. Firstly, I did focus on the accuracy part. As soon as I saw the question, I didn't jump into the calculation. So I would also advise you the same. Do not rush into the calculation part. Read the question, make yourself calm and compose, and then get into the conclusion. Pick the easy questions, that is the quick win questions in the earlier time, and generally target the topics such as averages, percentage, simple equation, ratios, because the question coming from these topics would generally be in a one-liner format. So simple calculation and an easy approach would get you answer in less than 30 to 40 seconds. So you can keep the large chunk of your time at the end. So my third strategy would be, as soon as I see a DI set, if it is a heavy DI set, then it generally involves a lot of time and the calculation is also heavy. So if you keep large chunk of your time at the end, you can attack these DI sets at the end. So I would say somewhere around 25 to 30 minutes for quant section would be an ideal time for you to get a good mark. And most importantly, stay calm on the D-Day and stay composed and maintain your calmness, because generally people end up making mistakes in quant not by lack of knowledge but because of pressure. So if you choose your question wisely, I think so this section would genuinely become a high scoring area, because it was a high scoring area for me as well. So I would say the difficulty would be from moderate to difficult, not extremely difficult when it comes to calculation and quant section. So moving on to the next slide, Abhiruchi will tell you a few tips and tricks which actually worked for us in Snap.
Yes, RD. So, the next slide is a really important one because it highlights 4 practical tips that can give your SNAP examination a serious boost. So, first, as you can see in the screen, is the prioritizing the high weightage topics. So, SNAP, as you know, it follows a pretty predictable pattern every year. So, the arithmetic, it rules the quant section, the critical reasoning, it rules the LR section, and the vocabulary, it forms a big chunk of English. So instead of like spreading your effort thin and trying to study everything, so focus more on the areas that consistently carry the most marks. So this way you are preparing smarter, not harder, and your score improves with much less effort. So second, as you can see, is master shortcuts and the mental math. So SNAP is like one of the most time pressured MBA entrance examination. So even if you know how to solve a problem, taking 40 seconds instead of the 15 can affect your total attempts. So things like the mental math, approximation, percentage shortcuts, and quick multiplication techniques, they can save you a lot of time, especially in the DI and the arithmetic heavy questions. So third is another important, that is the time management, because this is honestly the deciding factor for most of the students. So you need to quickly judge whether a question is worth solving or not. Like if something looks long, like a big LR puzzle or calculation heavy set, don't just get stuck in that. You should move on quickly, pick up the easy marks first, and then revisit the tougher ones later if the time permits. So maintaining a momentum across the paper, it is really very important for the SNAP examination. And finally is the practice with the SNAP mocks. So mocks are like your best friends because they replicate the actual test environment, the pressure, the mix of questions, the speed you need, everything. And I'm sure like you have already taken up lots of mocks till now. But remember that mock analysis is what matters the most, because understanding where your time goes, what kind of questions you keep getting wrong, and which section slows you down, that's how the strategy evolves and your accuracy, it improves. So to wrap it up all, focus on the high weightage topics, build speeds with shortcuts, manage your time smartly, and practice consistently with the mocks. And all 4 of this together, it forms a very solid framework for cracking SNAP.
Okay, so we move on to the next slide and let's talk about the most important part of this exam, which would be the time management. It is honestly, I think, the heart of the SNAP exam. You have about 60 minutes for 60 questions, so every single minute matters. How you allocate those minutes will directly shape your final score. So let's walk through the cycle shown on the slide here. The first here is to answer the questions you're sure about first. So we'll start with the low hanging fruits first. For example, simple vocabulary, quick arithmetic, straightforward reasoning. These will give you instant confidence and help you build momentum right from the start. The second year is to skip difficult questions initially. So the moment you see a long puzzle or a heavy DI set or a time consuming calculation, it's better to just skip it. Don't get emotionally attached to a question because skipping early saves time and helps you attempt all the more scoring questions before the clock runs out. The third year is to tackle easier questions earlier. Your goal in the first pass would be to collect as many easy marks as possible. Snap rewards quick decision making, so solving 10 simple questions will always give you a better return than wrestling a tough one for 10 minutes. After that, we have return to difficult questions if the time permits. So once you're done with the easy and the medium ones, you can go back to the questions you marked earlier in the start. By this stage, now you're calmer, your accuracy would be better, and you can approach tougher problems more logically. And finally, we have keep buffer time for revision. So even a 2 to 3 minute buffer can prevent unnecessary mistakes. So for example, if you misread an option or made a small calculation slip or overlooked a small details, these tiny correction can add extra marks in the end. So to summarize the whole time management here, it is to start with the short questions first. Skip anything lengthy in the first round and maintain a consistent pace throughout. Revisit the tough questions later and keep a small buffer time for revision. So if you follow this cycle, you will naturally maintain high accuracy and maximize your attempts, which is exactly what Snap will expect from you.
So now let's move on to the next slide. All right, so aspirants, we are almost at the end of our webinar. So to make things interesting and handy for you, we have also added a few sample questions based on our expertise, just to give you a quick feel of how Snap typically looks like. So moving on to the first question, it comes from the general English section, and the topic covered here is vocabulary based complete sentence. So as soon as you see the question and the options, don't dive into the option, because each dictionary meaning of the options would be very much different than you place the right word in the fill in the blank, as the meaning changes on the context base. So contextual vocabulary becomes really important. So here the right answer is resilient, and that's because the sentence talks about overcoming setbacks and determination. And coming to the second question, it is of the logical reasoning section, and the topic covered here is family relations. Once you map the relations properly, you can easily identify that B is D's child. And notice something interesting. Snap doesn't mention the gender anywhere. So if you jump to a conclusion, you will definitely get it wrong. That is a great reminder that logical reasoning in Snap rewards on purely logical base, but not on assumptions based. And moving on to the third example and the final one, which is covering from the quantitative aptitude section. And the topic here is percentage and discounts. So if you see the question, the selling price is after giving a 20% discount. So basically that represents the 80% of the marked price. So if you do a reverse calculation here, you will end up getting the marked price as rupees 900. That is option C. So through these three examples, you would have understood that Snap isn't extremely difficult, but it does demand some basic clarity, foundations, and solid accuracy. So a quick and smart thinking would definitely end up fetching some good marks and a good Snap percentile, what you're trying to design. And with that, we have actually reached the end of today's session. I hope the strategies, what we have framed, and the topic-wise breakdowns, as well as the Snapple questions, have helped you a lot. Understand one thing and keep this in your mind, because these three mantras were which I followed basically. One is be consistent throughout your preparation and throughout your Snap journey. Second, choose your questions wisely and smartly, and definitely stay calm on the D-Day, because pressure hits hard. That's the reason. So if you can do these and follow these three mantras, I feel that you're already ahead in the curve. Thank you so much, guys, for joining in today's webinar. Stay confident, keep practicing, and trust the effort what you have put in. Before we move on to the next slide, we can take up few questions and answer your queries.
Okay, so I can see in the chat already the questions are there. So first one is, how many attempts should I give for Snap, and is it worth giving all three? Okay, so to answer your question, I think if you are able to manage it, you should give all three attempts, and it will be very beneficial for you. It's because I think the Snap scores can fluctuate based on the difficulty level and your performance and mental state on that particular day. So because we have three attempts and the best score is considered, it is always beneficial to give all three, so that if you mess up on one day, you can cover for it in the next one. So I think multiple attempts increases your chance of hitting your peak performance, and it will be the best option for you to give all three. The second question is, I am weak in quant. Can I still score well in Snap? Abhiruchi, would you like to take up that question?
Yes, Astha, I would like to take up the question. So absolutely, yes. Like Snap Quants, as we have mentioned in our webinar, it is not very conceptually difficult. It's mostly arithmetic and basic algebra. So what matters the most is the accuracy and the calculation speeds. So like if you can focus on the percentages, ratios, averages, and simplify it like DI, you can still, push your score up significantly. So the third question, as I can see, is like, how many questions should I ideally attempt in 60 minutes? So Astha, would you like to answer the question?
Yeah, so ideally there's no fixed number, but usually when you see the toppers score, it is usually around 45 to 50 questions with good accuracy. So not with the incorrect ones, but the correct ones, 45 to 50 would be the ideal score. The key is not the number, but to identify the easy and the medium ones first. So you don't waste time on long traps and solutions so that you are wasting your time there and not increasing your score. The next question is in LR, I get stuck in arrangement sets. Should I skip them entirely? RD, will you take up that question?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Asta. I'll take up this question. So basically, I would say that don't skip them entirely, but don't attempt them blindly either. If an arrangement set looks long or confusing or gives you a skeptical mindset at first glance, skip it in the first round and you can always revisit it by giving a circle or flag the question up. If time allows and permits you, revisit it later. With enough practice, I feel these sets are generally a high scoring set, but only when the logic clicks quickly. That I would suggest this. So moving on to the next question I can see is, I take too long to calculate in DI. Any tips for improving the speed? Abhiruchi, would you give it a?
Uh, yeah, yeah, I would like to take the question. So, yes, practice mental math and approximation techniques. So, this helped us a lot in our step preparation journey. And also try reducing the steps by spotting the patterns quickly, like, for example, the percentage to fraction conversions. In DI, the elimination is your best friend. You don't always need to calculate to get the exact answer. So that helped to prepare for the snap. The next question that I can say is how much time should I ideally spend on each section? So like anyone of you can answer this question.
Okay, so I'll answer it. It usually actually depends on your strengths and your weaknesses, which one you do first. But if you consider an ideal, a balanced time division, it would be to spend 25 minutes on the LR section, 25 minutes on the quants, and 10 minutes in English. It is ideal, but you can customize it to according to your weaknesses and your strength. So the real strategy here is the flexibility. So don't force time limits. Move as per the question difficulty and your strengths. The
Okay.
next question is, how can I improve my accuracy? I make silly mistakes under pressure. RD, will you answer it?
Yeah, sure. So accuracy improves generally with two habits. One is slower down on your calculation part, because even an extra second can prevent you from making a mistake. And I would suggest that you can keep 2 to 3 minutes of time for buffer for revision at the end, because small corrections during revisions can fetch you that extra 3 to 4 marks where you can jump a percentile. So which will actually significantly impact in your percentile as well as in your snap score. So I think so that's all from the Q&A section. So thank you guys for being here. And before we wrap up this webinar, the branding and admissions committee of SIDTM, that is we all will be traveling to 7 cities, that is Mumbai, Pune, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Kolkata, Jaipur, and Delhi, as a part of our SimConnect, our aspiration meet and greet initiative. It will be a great opportunity to meet you all in person, and you can also get a platform where you will be interacting with us, as well as you'll get a chance to interact with the alum and get your queries answered. And definitely you'll be receiving guidance for the GEPI process as well. So this is your chance to meet us in person. So you will see a QR code flashing on the screen. Do scan, feel free to scan and register, and also be part of the SimConnect event in your city. Now, that's it from our end, guys. Wishing you all the very best for Snap 2025.
All the best, everyone, and we can't wait to see you here on campus next year.
All the best, everyone, for Snap 2025.